The docking corridor hissed as the airlocks sealed behind them. The moment the Terran delegation stepped into Viral Prime, every eye in the chamber shifted. Quiet. Still. Watching. Commander Elin Rourke walked at the front of the small group, her face neutral, her stride unhurried. Her uniform bore no rank, only a simple Earth insignia over the heart. That was enough. The Zentari representatives stood on a crystalline platform ahead, draped in shimmering robes that changed color with the pulse of their thought-speech. They had no mouths, communication happened psychically, direct and unfiltered. They didn't blink. Their black-lensed eyes betrayed nothing. Ambassador Corvin, Earth's lead envoy, cleared his throat and stepped forward. "We come in peace to affirm the accord of coexistence," he began. His voice echoed across the dome, absorbed by a translation field hovering above. The seer stood still at the center, taller than the rest, his skin deep bronze, lined with glowing filaments that pulsed like veins of liquid data. High Seer Thalserek. Master of minds. Enforcer of truths. His voice entered everyone's head, cool and precise. Asterisk. Words can be shaped. Minds cannot. Your people claim peace, yet your record is steeped in violence. We do not judge, yet. We seek clarity. Asterisk. Elin didn't flinch. The others shuffled uncomfortably. Asterisk. Before you proceed further, one among you will be opened. Not harmed. Not probed. Merely witnessed. Asterisk. The ambassador hesitated. With respect, we have never allowed direct mental access. It violates. Asterisk. Then trust cannot be built. We do not fear memory. Why should you? Asterisk. Silence. Eyes turned to Elin. She was the only one with combat experience. Everyone else at the summit was diplomatic, civilian, sanitized. She exhaled once through her nose, then stepped forward. I volunteer. Corvin looked at her sharply. Elin. I've already lived it, she said, not turning. Might as well let someone else see it. Thalserek inclined his head slightly, a signal of acceptance. No emotion. No hesitation. Asterisk. Very well. The witnessing shall commence. Asterisk. The dome darkened. A circle of pale light formed on the platform. Elin walked into it calmly. Her boots clicked on the translucent floor. She stood in the center, arms loose at her sides, face unreadable. Thalserek moved toward her slowly. His hands hovered just short of her temple. Elin spoke, low and quiet. You should know, humans remember everything. Asterisk. We are prepared. Asterisk. No, you're not. Contact. Pain. Not Elin's. His. Thalserek's mind plunged into a storm of memory. But it wasn't linear. It wasn't organized. It was raw. Untamed. Endless. He stood in fire. Ash choked the skies. Buildings screamed as they fell. People, children, ran with burning skin, their eyes hollow. Machines floated above, soulless and perfect, reducing everything to light and silence. Then, the Martian blackout. Hundreds buried under the ice, trapped in dead tunnels as oxygen failed. Mothers humming lullabies. Fathers whispering stories. All waiting for death that never came. Because humans didn't die quietly. Then, the Ganymede riots. Blood froze on metal walls. Airlocks slammed shut with people still halfway through. Artificial gravity surged and reversed, bodies breaking mid-float. Still they fought. Thalserek tried to pull away. Asterisk. Cease. Asterisk. Elin didn't move. She wasn't doing anything. The memories lived on their own. Then, Earthfall. A final broadcast. A child clutching a toy as a ship launched without her. The last general ordering nukes to detonate in the atmosphere, to make the sky burn, so the enemy would remember their last breath. Thalserek screamed. In the real world, his body convulsed. His hands jerked away. He stumbled back, gasping for breath he didn't need. Elin opened her eyes. Welcome to humanity. The lights in the dome brightened again. Diplomats stood frozen. The Zentari delegation recoiled as their revered telepath collapsed to his knees. One of the junior seers rushed to him, touching his shoulder. Her eyes went wide. Don't touch him, Elin said evenly. Not yet. Too late. The seer shrieked and crumpled. Two more backed away, trembling. One made a sharp clicking sound, panic. Ambassador Corvin took a tentative step forward. What did you do? I existed, Elin replied. He asked to see? I didn't hide anything. Thalsarek writhed, his mind flooded. The translation field fizzed, attempting to maintain order. But the signal collapsed. The counselor of Thulkai, a serpentine diplomat, hissed. What are you? Elin looked at him, eyes dark and calm. Descendants of survivors. Our minds weren't built for peace. They were forged in extinction. No one spoke. A soft beep echoed as medical drones arrived, scanning Thalsarek. His vitals were stable, but his brainwave patterns had shifted, no longer in perfect order. Fractured. Humanized. Elin stepped down from the platform. No one stopped her. Ambassador Corvin finally caught up, whispering harshly. You could have said no. She shook her head. Wouldn't have mattered. Better to show them now. They think we're monsters. They thought we were myths. Now they know better. As the Terran delegation walked back toward the ship, a low murmur rippled through the alien crowd. Fear. Wonder. Confusion. The seers would recover, eventually. But they'd never unsee what they'd witnessed. And the galaxy would never again underestimate Earth. Thalsarek floated above his own body. He didn't understand how. Or why. He only knew one thing: the pain had a face. A human one. Inside Elin Rourke's mind, he hadn't found data or cleanly ordered memories, like the lesser races. No tidy thoughts. No emotional clarity. Just impact. He'd reached for her identity like he'd done with thousands before. And instead, he'd fallen into a maelstrom of grief, rage, and memory so vast it shattered context. Now, the observation dome was chaos. Dignitaries shouted. The other seers trembled. Two had collapsed. One muttered Terran war poetry, lines never translated off-Earth. Elin stood in the center of it all, unmoving. Eyes steady. Breathing calm. Admiral Corvin whispered, voice low. You need to sit down. No, she said simply. I'm not injured. The Zentari medic drones circled Thalsarek's twitching body. His limbs seized in staccato bursts. Blood, thick silver blue, dripped from his nostrils. A voice crackled over the intercom, one of the seer aides, barely composed. We need containment. Now. His mind is infected. Infected? Corvin echoed. Contaminated with humanity. Elin raised one eyebrow. That's new. Thalsarek's thoughts weren't thoughts anymore. They were echoes. The burning sky of Earth's last stand. The still silence after orbital bombardment on Europa, where even the dust didn't dare move. The knowledge that every human who smiled, once, had done so while knowing extinction waited around the next century. The seer's mental fortress had fractured. And Elin hadn't lifted a finger. He had invited himself in. In the medical bay, behind triple energy shields, the highest psychic minds in the quadrant gathered. Thalsarek lay on a soft-skinned neural web, eyes closed, lips twitching. His hands flexed every few seconds, sometimes in fists, sometimes clawed. He is still reliving it, said Elder Vikar, a pale, floating mind form from the Karthan assembly. We can't pull him out. He won't let go. Rourke's image was suspended in a containment field. Not her body, just her mind's projection, captured in bioecho scans. A copy of her brainwaves, rendered harmless. Yet even the echo made the attending telepaths uneasy. Vikar gestured at the field. That fragment alone caused 2 initiates to lose consciousness. One of the younger seers nodded grimly. Humans don't recall events, they relive them. Their memories are saturated. Charged. Another muttered. And they survive it. Every day. In a dark hallway adjacent to the chamber, Elin leaned against a wall, arms crossed. Corvin stood nearby, pacing. You've made your point, he muttered. I didn't make anything. He reached into my head. You could have pushed back. Closed off. I did. He ignored it. Corvin stopped pacing. You have no idea what's happening politically. The Intergalactic Tribunal is rattled. Seers across 6 sectors are reporting interference, residual tremors. Mental bleed. Elin looked up at him, eyes cold. You think I'm happy about that? He didn't answer. After a pause, she added. He asked to know? Now he does. In the chamber, Thalsarek's body finally stilled. Not from peace. From surrender. His eyes opened, bloodshot, wide, unfocused. He turned his head slowly and stared at nothing. A whisper escaped his lips. Asterisk, the snow screamed back, asterisk. One of the seers gasped. He's quoting the Siege of Blackridge. That was a Terran war poem. Written by a dying infantry medic. Vikar shook his head slowly. He didn't read it. He lived it. Back on the observation deck, several alien envoys watched Elin from afar now. Not with curiosity, asterisk caution star. Fear. Respect. A reptilian diplomat from Iko leaned to his aid. She didn't attack. She contained. That's worse. Another nodded. The humans have been silent for too long. We thought they were broken. They weren't broken. Elin murmured quietly, sensing them. They were tempered. Corvin turned to her sharply. How long have you been carrying those memories? All of them? Elin didn't respond for a long time. Then, since I was 12. Since my father died during the evacuation of Titan. I watched him lock me into a capsule and walk into a nuclear wind. Corvin exhaled. You were a child. So were most of us. Later, an emergency tribunal was called. A digital projection of Thalsarek, his voice broken, syntax uneven, addressed the assembly via neural relay. They are not primitive. They are not barbaric. They are survivors. Each mind is a scar. A story, screamed into silence. I was not ready. You will not be there. Do not reach into them again. Not without asking. Then his feed cut. A silence thicker than vacuum followed. The ruling came 2 hours later. No further psychic screenings of humans permitted. The Accord of Coexistence restructured. Human minds labeled, restricted terrain. And though no war had begun, every major race updated their defense protocols. Just in case. That night, Elin sat alone in the small guest chamber provided by the station. The stars outside the window pulsed with violet heat. She drank recycled water from a steel cup. No liquor, no stimulants. Just silence. Her comm unit buzzed. A message. From unknown. Subject, quiet respect. You did more than speak for Earth today. You reminded them why they ever feared us. Some things don't need to be said out loud. A friend in shadow. She deleted it, unsmiling. And still, somewhere deep inside her skull, behind years of control and training, she heard it again. Thalsarek's scream. It echoed not in victory, but in warning. The diplomatic shuttle lifted silently from Viral Prime, breaking through the veil of station-borne light and into the deep hush of orbit. Elin sat motionless in her seat, not looking at the viewports. The stars were as distant as ever, cold, scattered, beautiful. She didn't find comfort in them. Never had. Across from her, Ambassador Corvin scrolled through the tribunal transcript. His expression was unreadable. For once, his polished diplomacy had been stripped raw. They're afraid, he said. Elin didn't answer. They're rewriting protocol across 4 sectors. Sanctions lifted. Trade barriers revised. 2 of the core worlds have requested Terran advisors. He looked up. They think you're dangerous. Elin turned her head, meeting his gaze evenly. They're not wrong. You didn't attack anyone. No. But I showed them the truth. That's often worse. The tribunal's ruling had spread faster than plague. Category Red, Human Mental Terrain, Unscreenable. Exposure Threshold Breach Confirmed. Asterisk asterisk. Every mind-linked species had been advised to maintain minimum cognitive distance from Terrans, pending full psychometric recalibration. In less clinical terms, don't touch their thoughts. Don't even get close. Asterisk asterisk. High Seer Thalserek hadn't spoken since his final broadcast. Medical reports stated he was neurologically intact but spiritually destabilized. Translation: his mind had survived, but his certainty hadn't. No one had ever shaken him. Until now. Elin hadn't struck him. Hadn't threatened him. She'd simply existed. And in doing so, she had unraveled centuries of belief. Back aboard the human embassy vessel, Elin entered the debrief room. A recording drone hovered in the corner, silent, its lens blinking red. The room was sterile: one table, two chairs, matte gray walls. Just enough comfort to seem polite. Nothing to encourage vulnerability. General Merrick appeared on the wall screen, his face hard-lined and weathered. He didn't speak in greetings. "You caused a galactic incident." Elin sat, hands folded. "He invaded my mind." "You didn't resist." "No. I let him see." The general's eyes narrowed. "You could have deflected. Redirected. Protocol. Protocol doesn't apply when you're dealing with arrogance masquerading as diplomacy." A pause. Then softer. "He needed to understand." Merrick leaned back slightly, studying her. "And what did he see?" Elin's voice didn't waver. "All of us. The screams. The ash. The resilience. Everything we had to burn just to still be here." The debrief continued in silence for a while. Reports, timestamps, comm records. Cold things. At the end, Merrick said quietly, "There's a cost, Elin. Every time you open that vault, you pay." "I know. Does it ever get easier?" She looked away. "No." 3 days later, messages began arriving. Not from Earth, but from the stars. From alien diplomats. Military commanders. Private traders. Even religious leaders. Most were simple. "We had no idea. How did you survive that? We were wrong about you." Some were less kind. "Your minds are weapons. You should have been erased before you spread." One message came encrypted, routed through 3 dead systems. No metadata. No origin. Asterisk. I touched her thoughts, too. Years ago. I ran. I still hear the silence she carries. It's louder than war. Asterisk. And signed. In a private meeting aboard the Terran flagship Resolute Sun, the Joint Earth Council debated Elin's future. Some wanted her retired. Silenced. Buried in a non-combat role. Others saw opportunity. "She did what thousands of soldiers couldn't," argued Admiral Kane. "She broke the myth of human inferiority without firing a shot. She traumatized a galactic icon. She revealed we've been underestimated for 1,000 years." Minds split. Voices rose. But no one could deny one thing. Humanity was no longer just a footnote. Elin didn't attend the council sessions. She was in orbit, standing at the edge of the viewing deck, watching a Terran terraformer spark to life across the void. A dead moon. Soon to be green. Colonists would follow. Children. Life. From her jacket pocket, she pulled out a data chip. It contained the neural scan of the link, what Thalserek had seen. What he'd felt. She could have deleted it. She didn't. Instead, she slid it into a private archive slot and keyed a lock command. Restricted access. Clearance level Omega Black. Label. Minefield event, Rourke interface. Footsteps behind her. She turned. A Zentari diplomat approached slowly, unarmed, visibly cautious. His thought field shimmered dimly, respectful. "I asked permission to speak," he said aloud, carefully forming the words with an unused mouth. "Granted," she replied. "I came to say, thank you. She raised an eyebrow. For what? For showing us our blind spot. We believed only power mattered. But it's endurance that shapes reality. Elin studied him a long moment. Most species evolved to avoid pain. We didn't get that luxury. He nodded, voice soft. You wear it like armor. No, she said, stepping past him. Armor is something you take off. This never leaves. As she left the deck, a message appeared on her personal comm, Earth-coded, military encrypted. Subject, assignment approval. Details, Terran Psychological Projection Envoy, Sector Delta 9. Status, active. No one was going to hide her now. They were going to send her everywhere. Back on Viral Prime, Felserex sat alone in his meditation chamber. He didn't speak. He barely moved. But every now and then, without warning, he whispered the same words. Not in fear. Not in anger. Just quiet understanding. They walk through fire and remember the heat. Do not reach into the dark unless you're prepared to carry its weight.